Hi, thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Sandra McKay Stewart, and I'm going to be talking about the natural process, describing the natural process over a series of several audios. So, this is the first audio. In this audio, I'm going to speak about the basic sequence of the map of the natural process, which is essentially Margaret Keene's memory of when she died and how she went through various experiences, a sequence of experiences that took her into greater and greater dimensions of light and eventually into what she called the oneness. So I'm going to talk about that. The natural process is really a multidimensional tool, and so there'll be different layers and levels that I'm going to speak of about it. But this first audio is to give just a very basic overview of the near-death experience, the sequence of dying that Margaret remembered. And one of the very interesting things about Margaret's memory of this sequence is that she explained that this sequence of surrendering into the light and merging into the oneness is also the experience that we have in our living lives, that we go through the tunnel sometimes and so on. So that's the next layer that I'll speak of. But here for today, for this audio, I'm going to start with describing and talking about the stages. So if you look at the map above on this page, you'll see that there's a big bolded word at the bottom left. The word says tunnel, and then above the word tunnel you'll see bolded word heart, and then going around towards like in a circle, like in a spiral, the next words are bridge of trust in bold, and then moving along it's light, and then I and / we in a egg, on to the oneness, and then finally back to earth. So starting with the tunnel at that very first bottom left bolded word. So the tunnel in a near-death experience is a reference to the feeling that a near-death experiencer has of being in total blackness, of being in a kind of neutral state. And there can be an experience of moving through the tunnel too, and moving towards the light. So it is during this time in the tunnel that one often has a life review. So that's an experience of remembering everything from your past, even every thought you've had, every exchange you've had, every dream you've had. It's a complete and full review, re-seeing of all of your experiences in your life to that point. So that's the tunnel. Moving out of the tunnel. Now sometimes, of course, people are told, it's not your time, you need to go back. That can happen, I guess, at any stage along this sequence. But many people come out of the tunnel seeing the light ahead of them. Either they're spiraling through the tunnel, blackness, into the light, or they are feeling the light really magnetically calling them forth. So there's this movement through the tunnel, and the greatest experience of the light is of love. This incredible, hard to describe feeling of love that enfolds and embraces you and everything else. And then out of that heart space on the map here, the next stage is the bridge of trust. And this is the stage that took Margaret over then further into the light, where she had additional experiences that she says is all part of our living experience, as well as we open to allow more light into our life and more love into our life. So out of the heart, out of that feeling of love, there's this bridge that is created, that one can choose to go over the bridge of trust, trusting into the future. And the future took Margaret into more and more light in her dying experience. And then in the experience of the light, so I'm moving along here on the map in a spiral way, heading to the right, heading to the east direction. So the light is still calling forth. And in the light, there's a moment of recognition of the perfection of oneself in the light, because there's the recognition of perfection of everything at that time in the light, at that moment in the light. And it's an experience of unification, really, that one can experience in other ways in addition to near-death experiences. So yes, that experience of the perfection of everything. And particularly Margaret says there's a point of recognizing the perfection of yourself, of how everything is exactly, you are exactly as you need to be. And in the depth of that recognition of perfection in the light, there is also the recognition of perfection of everyone else. Recognition of my perfection, recognition of your perfection, recognition of our perfection just as we are. And Margaret says then that the recognition of our perfection, of us, of we, and not just I, is what opens the gate to oneness, allowing one to step through into that gate of complete unity with oneness, with God, with Goddess, with all the masters, with all the perfection, the perfected beings, the angels, the archangels, all of our spiritual heritage into the oneness. And then Margaret says there are things that happen in the oneness, in that experience of unity and connectedness, whereby one can then choose to come back to Earth with an assignment, with things that you're going to do, with things that are beneficial to the whole and beneficial to your growth also as an individual spirit, an individual soul. So that's all that I'm going to say for this short audio. That's the overview of the map of the natural process. And you can see as you look at the map that there are other areas for me to cover and other words to reference and a center point that talks about miracle, meaning the place of miracles. So I look forward to talking with you some more and letting you know what I remember and what I understand about beautiful natural process MAP, Margaret Keene's near-death experience, and healing modality for dealing with stresses in our life. All right, thanks again. Have a great day. Talk again soon. Bye for now.